Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our dear sister, and the message reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I have my own confession that I want to share with you. So I come from a very wealthy family, and then I met my late husband. When I met my late husband, even though I could tell that this man, he did not have any money at all, but still I believed that he was the man who had been sent to me by God, and I chose to date him. So soon after I had started dating him, that was when I brought him to my father. Then my father promised me that if he was going to be someone who was going to be loyal, he was going to try to get him involved in some of his businesses. So we dated. We met here in Harare. Then we went to his village for some introductions. We went to Kokwe. The day that we arrived there, that was when the spiritual attacks came. And at that time, I was busy preparing some food, doing my duties as my mother-in-law's daughter-in-law. And my mother-in-law then called me and told me that she wanted me to assist her to cut some meat. I followed her to the back of the house, and I saw that there was this other big metallic dish, and inside that metallic dish there was a knife that was full of blood, but there was no meat that was inside the dish. And she said, "Take that knife." Brother Nashi, I then really got so scared because I saw that this was a ritual that she wanted me to perform. I then told her that I wanted to speak with my mom because my mom just called me right on time. So when I spoke with my mom on the phone, I did not want my mother-in-law to hear me speaking with my mother because I wanted to tell my mom that this is what my mother-in-law wanted me to do. So I started moving further and further away from my mother-in-law whilst I was talking on the phone. She was just standing there looking into that metallic dish. My mother then called me, and she said that she felt in her spirit that she was supposed to tell me that I had to find a quiet place where I could be alone so that I can pray, because she was sensing that there was something that was happening in the spiritual realm. So I then went into this other room, which was almost like empty. Then I closed the door. Then I started praying. When I started praying, I did not even pray that much. My mother-in-law then came into that room. So I did not even know that this room that I had chosen, it was a room where my mother-in-law was keeping her charms. When I walked into the room, I thought that maybe she had heard me praying, and she wanted to join with me so that we can pray too. But when she entered into the room, it was as if she did not even see that there was someone that was in the room. She went on her knees, and she then lay herself on the floor, and she started moving as if she was a snake. Then she started vomiting. She was vomiting, and then she started pushing something out of her stomach, and she vomited a snake, and she quickly became one with that snake. And I kept on praying silently. After she had become that snake, she went and the snake entered into this other big clay pot. When it came out, I then realized that this snake, it had some meat that it had in its mouth. And then the snake became my mother again. So when the snake became my mother, I continued praying until my mother-in-law walked out of that room. I then returned to the kitchen to continue cooking. That was when my sister-in-law told me that I had been gone for more than 45 minutes. But my mother-in-law started avoiding looking at me or getting any closer to me. When I walked into the kitchen, she was also walking into the kitchen from the outside, and she seemed to be like someone who had been badly beaten. Even her daughter, my sister-in-law, asked her, and she said, "What is wrong with you, Mom? Did anything bad happen to you?" So when I had arrived at my fiance's compound, I had seen that they had this other orchard. This orchard was full of mango trees. And she then said that she had gone to the orchard and she had climbed up this other mango tree because she saw that there was a big mango on top of this other tree. I'm talking about a woman who was around 56 who had climbed a mango tree and she had fallen down. Which tree, I wondered, because all the trees that I had seen in her compound, they were like those big mango trees. For you to climb that tree, it was going to be very difficult because of all the low-hanging branches that had been cut off. Yet she claimed that she had tried to climb up that tree. Brother Nashi, even the kids that were playing outside, none of the kids that were asked had even seen her. That was when I understood that there was something like my mom had told me happening in the spiritual realm, and we needed to be very strong. On that night, she did not eat the food that I had cooked. I don't know, is this what people are supposed to do? Because late at night, around 9 p.m., she then went and she then started to milk the cows. Don't you milk the cows early in the morning? Or do you milk the cows when they return back from the pastures, when they are feeding their young ones? But that is what she did. She milked the cows like late at night, and she refused to eat the food that I had prepared for her. When she returned back from milking the cows, she drank almost a 9-liter bucket of sour milk. And some of the kids that were with her in the kitchen, they said that she was drinking this milk until 1 a.m. The next morning, when I prepared breakfast, she refused and she cooked for herself. She started avoiding me until when we were about to return back to Harare, she was no longer talking to me. When we were about to leave, she then gave me one of her duk. She said that I have bought this duk for you. Since you are someone who does not know our Shona culture, you came here without a duk, so you have been using this duk of mine, but I cannot let you take this duk so that I can keep mine. She then gave me that new duk. She forced me to wear it because, like, as a daughter-in-law, you cannot go around when your father-in-law is around with your head not covered with that duk. The moment that I placed that duk on my head, I felt my spirit telling me that what I was doing, it was just wrong. I started resisting, and she had given me so much pressure to wear the duk. But the moment that I wore it, I felt as if there was someone who was stealing my mind, like I was feeling dizzy. I then went into the room where I was sleeping with my sister-in-laws. I then chose one of my t-shirts that I had brought with me, and I removed that duk that she had given me, and I hid it somewhere, and I wore that t-shirt on my head covering my hair. We then left and we returned back to Harare. To my surprise, when I arrived home, my mom then said, I need to pray for you before you even sit down. So she prayed for me, and she prayed for the bag, and she said that she wanted to open my bag. So I opened my suitcase. To my surprise, on top of my clothes, there was that duk that I had left back in the village. How it had gotten in my bag, I don't even know. My mom then called our pastor. Brother Nashi, in this world, the spiritual realm, it is very real. That duk, it became a snake right there in our living room. The pastor, when he came before we had started praying, he said that this thing that I want to show you, I want your fiance to be here. So I called my fiance. When he was coming to our house, my father had given him a car that he was using at that time. He said that the car broke down more than 3 times. Yes, this was a car that was being used in my father's company, and my father was a mechanic himself. He finally came and we prayed. And then the pastor took that duk that had been given to me by my mother-in-law and placed the Bible on the floor and the duk on top of the Bible. When we started praying, the moment that the pastor wanted to go and lift up his Bible, he shouted and he said, a snake, a snake. When we all opened our eyes, we then saw that instead of the duk, there was a snake that had coiled itself around the Bible ready to bite the pastor. We prayed for that snake. The pastor then said, give me something to eat this snake with. So my brother and my father ran outside and came back with a big stick, and they both killed the snake. The pastor then said we needed to go outside to burn this snake. Brother Nash, after that was when my fiance got possessed. He was speaking, and I heard that this voice that he was using, it was a familiar voice, like the voice of his mother. He was speaking like my mother-in-law. And through him, she was saying, this is my child. This is my child. You cannot take him from me. You cannot take him from me. This is my child. It is far much better that he dies. And then my fiance was okay. After that, my mother-in-law came to my parents' house and told them that she did not want me to get married to her son, but I was in love, and he was also in love with me. So we said that we are going to go ahead with the traditional ceremony. Brother Nashi, my boyfriend, he did not have money. I was the one who assisted him so that he can pay for my bride price, and I told him that in the future he was supposed to pay me back. After I had given him the money, we went around speaking with most of his mother's relatives, but they were scared to come and to represent him. But there was one of her mother's relatives who was also a Christian, was staying in Harare, who then came to my parents and said, like my mother-in-law and him, they shared the same blood. So even if it would happen that my fiance will die, him being there, he will be representing the mother. He was the one who made it possible for some of the uncles to have the courage to come. But they said that they did not want my mother-in-law to know that they were there at the ceremony. From my fiance's father's side, few of them that were staying in Harare, they came, and before they came into our yard, they said, please do not tell her. We do not want to be on her bedside. I was married and we waited because according to our church, you need to have a wedding first before you sleep with your fiancé. It was almost a month before the wedding day. That was when I was called by my fiancé's best friend and told me that I had to rush to the hospital. I went there and I saw my boyfriend. He was sick, really sick. The doctors did not even know what was wrong with him. Brother Nashi, when we would pray, we would go during that visitation hour. My mother-in-law, if she will be there as well at the hospital, the moment that we would walk in, she will start to laugh. The pastor, when the pastor would be praying, then my mother-in-law, she would even laugh. And when we would be praying, she would be like, And after that, she will start to clap her hands when we would have finished praying. And she will say, I can see you are praying. I can see that you are praying. So do you think that you can pray more than the way that I am praying? Because this child that is sleeping on this bed is my child, the one that I gave birth to. So you think that I don't go to church? I have my own pastors. I pray as well. Brother Nashi, even the nurses, the day that they had her saying that very soon her son was going to die, the nurses, they were like, how can a mother behave in such a way? She used to cause such a scene at the hospital, laughing at the pastor, praying for her unresponsive, sick child. We fought in the spirit. She would come to me. She would come and pretend as if she was one of my late aunties, and then she would say, my brother's child, follow me. So I will be happy, then I would follow her. Then we would be walking in this very big house that would be full of, that had a lot of rooms. Then she would take me into this other dark room. When I would be inside that room, then I'll say, no, this is my mother-in-law. She has tricked me. Because I'll see that in that room, there will be a lot of dead men that will be waiting for me. Then she will be introducing me to those demonic men. And she'll be like, I have brought you a wife for you. Then the next morning, that was when I was told that my fiancé had passed away. When I was told that my fiancé had passed away, we then informed the pastor. And the pastor then said, do not go immediately to the village, because already there was something that they wanted to do to me. The pastor said that if you go there alone without any spiritual backup, my daughter, you're going to be marked for the rest of your life by the spirits that will be waiting for you in the village. He said that my mother-in-law was already in the process of preparing for my arrival. So the pastor told me that there was somewhere that he was supposed to go, but later on he was then told that the meeting was going to take place the following week. So he said that he was going to accompany me. It was the pastor and one of these other evangelists from church. We went there, Brother Nashi, but the pastor kept on telling me that if I would be given food, I was supposed to bring the food straight to him. If I was going to be told that there were some rituals that were supposed to be done, he was supposed to come and tell me. Brother Nashi, like the men, they were sitting on the other side and the women on the other side. So I was helping with preparing the meals. Then my mother-in-law, the moment that we arrived, she sent one of her daughter to give me some biscuits. These were lemon cream biscuits, but they had been opened up. I took them straight to the pastor. The pastor just took them and placed them in his pockets. And the pastor said to me, "Tonight let us not eat anything, because there is something that has been placed in the food. It is already late." My mother-in-law, she forced me to eat throughout the night, until some people that were with us said, "But do you know that this food that you are forcing this young girl to eat, it is already cold? Don't you know that this young girl is going through a lot of pain, the same pain that you are feeling as a mother? This girl, she has lost her husband that she never knew. People were feeling sorry because of my age. At that time, I was only 19 years old, going through that pain. And she was even causing the pain to be more. When we were supposed to bury him the following morning, she prepared some water for me to bath. When I went in there, I just poured the water to the ground and I did not bath. When I went out of the bathroom, she was waiting for me and she laughed and she said, "You are very clever." She said, "Did you bath?" And I said, "Yes, I did bath." And she said, "Come here." So she was like touching me. She placed her hand on my neck to check if I was wet. And she said, "You are dry. You did not even take a bath." And she laughed. She returned to where she was sitting with these other ladies. They were busy ganging up on me. We went to the gravesite and we buried my husband. When we returned back, when we were about to leave, that was when we were told that there was a family meeting that was going to take place. The pastor was there with me. The moment that my mother-in-law called one of my sister-in-law to go and take something in her bedroom, I saw the pastor looking at me, shaking his head. I knew that there was something spiritual that was about to take place. My mother-in-law was then given a very small bag and said that this one I wanted to be given to my daughter-in-law because I want her to forgive me. The pastor then stood up and went and knelt beside her and said, "It is fine. She is my daughter. You will give this bag to me and I will hand it over to her." She then laughed and she said, "Who are you? I don't even know you. Why do you say that you are her father? Because I have met her father." The pastor then said, "I am her spiritual father. We are not related by blood, but through Jesus Christ, we are related because we are both children of God." She laughed and she said, "Oh, we are all children of God, but I can't give you this bag." She stood up and she went and returned the bag to her bedroom. The pastor then said that it was time for us to leave. Then we left. We returned back to Harare. And I had to go through some deliverance because I kept on having bad dreams. The pastor used to say that you need to pray because my mother-in-law, what she will do is that late at night she will go to the grave and she will speak with the spirit of her son saying, "Rise up, oh dear son, may your spirit wake up. You married this woman, didn't you? But you never slept with her. Go and be her husband. For you married your wife and you did not even get the chance to sleep with her. Go and make her to be your wife." So I used to get all of these spiritual attacks. My late husband, I would see him walking into the bedroom trying to sleep with me. Then I would refuse the moment that I would wake up. I kept on praying and getting a lot of deliverance from church. This is how I lost my dear husband and how God saved me from spiritual attacks.